Letting folks in. But for now, welcome everybody to The Studio is Right.
Everyone, and welcome to The Studio is Right. Thank you all for participating, for showing up to see what happens, because I don't really know. So, presumably you're all familiar with today's idea. We're going to do 5 short studio tours. Thank you to those people who have signed up. We promise not to call on anyone who hasn't signed up. And time is short, so let's get going. Let's find out who's going to be first. Thank you, whoever's laughing.
Nice.
Yay, Bettina! All right. So, you're easy to find. Take it away, Bettina.
Okay, hi there, everybody. So great to be part of the Studio is Right, and I am doing a little presentation here. And this gives me an opportunity to talk about some German terms that we are using in not necessarily in bookbinding, but with books, and that you may not be familiar with. So first of all, I want to show you a piece of equipment that's most of you know this is a sewing frame. And then I do have a really big book here. Now in German, we also would refer to this really big book as a Schinken. So what does it mean? My research is based on some really good books, like we have the book binding here, it's background and technique. And then we do have here the encyclopedia of the book. And they are excellent if it comes to some research, which I did. And in order for you to show you what this means, I will quickly share my screen and I will go through a short presentation. So we are saying der Buchbinder in German, which means the bookbinder. And here we see again an illustration many of you may be familiar with. Now, most of you may not know German, so let me just look at the translation. Buch is book, so Buchbinder is bookbinder. And I mentioned that the really big book is in German is also called Schinken. So Schinken is ham. Now, where does this lead me to? Now, if you're looking at an article here at Dictionary, there we see Schinken. And to make it a little easier for you to see what Schinken also means, I have highlighted this side, and we see that Schinken is also a term for großes Buch, which means a big book. Now, why was it called großes Buch, a Schinken? Here we see a pig, and the cuts of a pig means the Schinken is in the back. And for those of you who are not speaking English, the same illustration with the English word. Here we do have the ham. And now we know that there's also something that's called Schinkenspeck, which is the German ham bacon. And it's often made from a flat cut of ham. You still may wonder why I'm talking so much about ham and bacon, and that will be explained right now. So here we see a lovely lady who's working at a sewing sewing frame, and we see that she has like stacks and stacks of signatures there, and how high those signatures are. So the height of the signatures are that shows like really big book, big book. So that's a big Schinken. And since we were not always like sewing signatures in Germany, but there would be times where the sewing frame was not being used. And then what we did with sewing frames back like centuries ago already, we would actually air cure bacon on the sewing frame. And that's a picture right here, which shows you how it's done. And the length of the bacon actually, again, shows you the thickness of the book. And I still do this. And often I do this in my backyard. And as you all know, Germans are very famous for having big cold cuts for dinner. And that's just a short presentation of why we're using the word dicker Schinken für big book. Thank you.
Yay, Bettina! Oh, the wheel really came through today. I would be so sad if we didn't get to have that amazing educational lesson from Bettina Pauly. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, this is going better than expected. Let's find out who's next. Too soon, sorry, Chad. All right, Zoe. All right. I gotta find you. Hold on, let me find you so I can spotlight you. Because of course, I'm having trouble finding. There you are. All right, Zoe, thank you so much.
Okay. I was keeping my fingers crossed that it wouldn't land on me, but especially following Bettina and her bacon, mine is not so entertaining. So I do not have a studio. I am a book lover, and so started taking classes online because I was scheduled to take a week-long in-person class and was bringing my husband, and then, you know what happened. And right before everything shut down, I had purchased the bookbinding tools because I was in town, visited during someone else's class to see the exhibit that was on display. And so basically this is my studio along with my work desk and my computer. It's frequented by my cat, who is actually behind the monitor. I hope she doesn't run out during this time. So I just wanted to share a couple of the projects that have been great. So as I said, I'm just a book lover, and as Sarah knows, I have dabbled in a number of classes offered by the center. So I have a lot of projects, some of them completed, some of them not. So I'm only sharing the completed ones. So this was one of the first projects, and I love it so much because of its simplicity, but I was always puzzled by how these worked. And so now I know how it works. So this was one of my very first projects completed. And then there's this one. Nina was the instructor, and I don't remember who was the instructor for the first one. But I love this one because, how many times do we have those drink containers and they're very attractive, and instead of tossing it, I now have this lovely notebook, and learned a stitch that I was completely unfamiliar with. So this was a great class. Okay, so then you'll learn about my obsession. As a child, I loved pop-up books. And so when the first miniature pop-up class was offered, I jumped on it. And so this was my very first pop-up book that I completed. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I love it is I'm a lazy crafter, bookmaker. And so I loved it because we were given all the templates, and at the end of the class, I had a completed project because we just worked straight through. And so I was hooked. So then whenever I saw a class offered by Sean Sheehy, I immediately signed up for it. And so this is one of the more complicated classes, the Cabinet of Curiosities. And you know, this is fabulous because there's absolutely no way that I would ever sit down and do this on my own. So
Nice.
but this was a great class. And then as I mentioned, I love the classes because we end up with a completed project. But this is one where this is the roll-up pop-up, where there are 3 opportunities for us to do our own personal pop-up. And normally when we get to that point in a class, I may or may not finish it, but I wanted to have this completed box, so I did. And so I'll just share the final one. It's unrolling. It literally is a roll-up, so I'm rolling it all to get to the last one, which is
Hey, nice.
of Mickey and Minnie. That so the silhouettes are from a stamp out, but I put the little extras on it.
Yay.
And so it combined 2 of my loves, pop-up and Disney. So that's my micro tour of my desktop studio.
Awesome. Thank you, Zoe.
Perfect timing, Zoe.
Yep. Sorry about that. Okay, fantastic. Then let us keep going. Who is number 3? I think it's pretty clear. All right, Hampton, you're up. Now, again, it's going to take me 2 seconds to find you. There you are.
I've got you where you're on the screen.
Oh, you have 2 cameras, don't you?
2 cameras, yeah. So
There we go.
okay, so what I'm going to show you is my marbling studio. So I do bookbinding a little bit, but mostly I make marbled paper. So this is my marbling tray with my computer in it, and that's where you put gelatinous substance, and then you float paint on it. So the way you float paint on it is there are different ways you can do that. You can use pipettes, or these are Turkish brushes, or these are little handmade broom straw things, or you could use these little bottles. You can control the paint really well with these bottles. And once you get it on there, you can either just print the piece of paper so that it comes out like this, a stone pattern, right? So you can see the drips and the drops. The gold is the first piece of, the first color you put on gets pushed into vein. That's why they put gold paper. But then you can manipulate it with these rakes and combs. So these are rakes, it's a 3-inch rake, 2-inch, 1.5. And then these are combs. I've made all of these combs myself, except for this one. And then this is a really fine tooth comb that I bought from the guy who sells them. And then this is a specialized comb. I have other combs that I use. And then of course you need some paint. So I have lots of different kinds of paint. You can see here's my stash of golden paint. What you do is you mix the paint with water, and then you apply it to the bath. I also have used wash, so I just have paint everywhere. And then you, when you get the paint the way you want it on the bath, you then lay down a piece of paper that's been treated onto the bath, and then the paint magically transfers from the bath to the paper. And then you put it up.
Hey, Hampton, hold on for just a sec. You're having a little bit of an internet hiccup. It's a bit hard to hear you. So, okay. I think we've got your video back.
Yeah, you might want to check your audio to see if your audio input is coming to your phone, because it's
a little hard to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not really join audio. Now can you hear me? Is that better?
It's a little
Um,
better.
I think right now that we're getting the microphone from your laptop. So
Well, I'll just have to soldier on. Anyway, you take the paper, you put it on the board, and then you put it in the sink, and you rinse it, and then you put it on this drawing rack that I made over here. You can tell I cannibalized things from Lowe's or Home Depot. And you can make cover journals. Here's some of the things I've made, and some of them are in process. So this has become, I learned this from a lady who's done it for over 40 years, and then I've been practicing for like 5 or 6 years. I met some of you may have taken the class from Pietro Accardia, who teaches at the Center for the Book. And he and I become friends. He spent the night at my house, and we've marveled here in my studio together. One of the things he likes is I made this book which shows you all the steps to create lots and lots of different patterns. I took another book and I put all the steps down. And then you may not be able to see it, but this big trunk here is 12 different sets of marbling materials from marbling sets, which I use when I teach. So the other thing I do is if you want to come here and work with me, you just contact me. When COVID's over, you can come here and be in my studio with me, and I'll show you how to marble.
Where are you located, Hampton?
I live in Benicia, so
Oh, okay.
it's a little bit of a hike, but not too far. I thought I'd just kind of just a few pieces of paper. So hold on, let me get this off my hand. This is a stone pattern. There's a very feathery pattern called octopus. Octopus is probably my favorite pattern. Here's another one. Here's a bouquet pattern in a rainbow. These are orange and blue fried eggs. This is red, black, and gold. Here's a rainbow and octopus pattern. Then you can do double marbles. So I used mostly, I marbled this twice, and I laid ginkgo leaves and maple leaves on it so that they leave a little hole shaped that's leaf shaped. And here's one with aspen leaves that I did.
Nice.
If anybody's interested, I did. You don't have to burn my paper, but I do sell it. And I learned bookbinding from Julian Coleman when I took the week-long class, and then she's tutored me some privately on a few things. Mostly what I do is I take journals I buy at half-price books, tear them apart, and put them back together with my paper on them. Well, thank you for being in my studio.
Thank you so much, Hampton. Yay. Okay, we got 2 more. Who's up? Who's nervous?
haha.
Jennie.
Great. Okay. Man, I thought it wasn't going to be me for a minute. All right. I have a screen share here. Let me just. And hang on here. Let me see if I can see what I'm seeing.
I see a card that says thank you.
Yeah, that's my final slide.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. Okay. Race, back on through. Okay. Hey, everybody. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. We have the first slide. Everyone can see it?
Yep.
All right. So my name is Jennie. Some of you may know me as Red Letter Day. That's my sort of mail art, correspondence art moniker. It's also the name of a zine that I did in the late 90s. So that is where my name comes from. I have a quick slideshow, and I'll talk a little bit about my studio practice and what I do. And then if there's a couple seconds at the end, I have some actual mail from my stash that I brought to show you guys. So I've been involved in the mail art scene since 1996, and I have a pretty varied address book of people that I correspond with all over the world. I have work in a lot of different national collections, including the Getty and MoMA New York. And I basically love to make and send crazy, wacky, weird mail. So that is what I do. And by day, I'm the exhibition and events manager at SFCB. Hooray, which is great fun and I love it. But I also have an active studio process of my own. And so you can see some examples of some of the additions and things that I do here. Mainly I work in the postcard format. So I make and send a lot of postcards and a lot of different editions. I do a lot of hand stamping, a lot of collage, a lot of, like lettering and text-based things. And for those of you who may not know what correspondence art is or mail art, I included a little definition here on the slideshow. It's a way of communicating and connecting that originated with a lot of Fluxus artists and Neo-Dada artists in the late 60s and early 70s. And so people always like to ask me some of my favorite tools, what I love to work with in my studio. And I have to say, hands down, it's my Rossback perforator from 1888. The Center for the Book has one of these as well. And usually when we're gathering in person, I teach a class in creating artist stamps and faux postage, which you can see an example of here on the right-hand side. So this is a foot-operated piece of machinery, again, 1888. My perforator, I acquired it in 2015 and restored it back to its original grace and beauty. And so I included some examples of things that I make, postcards that I send. You can see these here. Just some of the wacky mail that has made its way through the postal system and to other people. During 2020, I found I was sending a lot of mail that looked kind of grumpy. On the left, you can see that. But I also spent a lot of time organizing postcard and letter writing campaigns, things like postcards to voters. I am the founder of the San Francisco Correspondence Co-op, and so we organized a lot of postcard campaigns as well. And then this is a little explanation that I included just about mail art, why people do it, and how it's this really amazing way to connect with people and get inspired. One of the phrases that you'll hear correspondence artists say a lot is the mailbox is a museum, and that is entirely true. I do have a new project. This is a podcast that I'm doing, interviews with mail artists, mail art mavens, young, old, new, and long time to the scene. So if anyone's interested in learning more, you're welcome to. And then should I end there, Chad and Sarah, or should I show and tell a couple pieces of mail?
You have 15 seconds, Jenny.
I will say goodbye and thank you.
Oh, you're just dodging the buzzer, aren't you?
I mean, I don't want to be a buzzer hopper.
Hey, all right. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Okay, last one. Got 4 names on the wheel. Judi.
Hey.
All right. Let me hunt you down and spotlight you. All right. Thanks, Judi. Take it away.
So can I screen share?
If you want to, I can make you a co-host real quick.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Just a minute. You can start talking in the meantime.
Okay, so I am in my new studio, which was built in December. It is a tough shed. And I'm just going to start the slideshow. it's about 50 feet from my house. I've lost my mouse. And let's see if I exit that. And okay, so here is the tough shed coming to the house. It's comes in pieces. The walls are already built. There they are, putting up the first wall. Here's the interior. I want to say like the cost of this was around $7,000, and it's 10 by 12. We have a very small house. It's in the garden. I installed the door because, okay, so Tough Shed has a premier shed that is like almost double the price. And I couldn't really see the difference between like the regular shed and the premier, except for the door. And this door I got at Home Depot for like $350. I put it in. I'm so proud of that. Here's the interior now. I have gallery space, which is the little corner of the shed. And the shed, if you saw it, it's like really tall on one end and shorter on the other. It is the shed style. I work in here. This is 2 by 4 feet in assembly, but most of my work is outside. And this is my outside studio. I call that my dark room. That is a ice fishing tent. And so I work on my cyanotype in the ice fishing tent. It keeps me out of the wind. It gives me enough darkness to assemble my cyanotypes. I also teach at the beach. This is one of my students. Here is an up close view of some seaweed. And you can see the little brown ovals are pigment transfer from the seaweed. So I get a lot of color in the cyanotype. That's me holding up some seaweed. I've recently started using fish in my work, using a geotaku, which is like fish printing. Here's some of the fish prints. I go to the market, I pick up the fish, I bring it to the studio, and it kind of smells funny. And then I layer those onto the cyanotypes. And I feel some of the cyanotypes are just kind of lacking something, and this geotaku, I love it. So I love the ocean. I'm very concerned about sea level rise and climate change. And so I'm like, should I name the press? Does Ocean Matters Press? I don't even know, like what, is that an okay thing to do? Should I name it Ocean Matters, even though maybe I'm not like editioning things, or I don't know. Ocean Matters Press. What does everybody think? Thanks.
Sure, why not?
Thanks, Judi.
Thanks, Judi.
Yeah, Ocean Matters has kind of a double meaning. Not that it matters, but you're applying matter from the ocean to your paper. And I think makes sense, the name.
Yeah. Why not? All right, guys. Thank you so much for showing up and going along with it. And thank you so much. My apologies to our 3 remaining potential presenters, Mary Bryn, Lori Foster, and Sharon Gao, who did not get chosen. Devastated we didn't get to hear from you, and also relieved that the final spin wasn't just one person's name. So thank you all so much for coming. And next week we'll be back to our regular programming, studio talk and tour with Work Play, which is a husband and wife designer duo in St. Louis, Missouri. So come back then for normal times. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great Thursday. Bye.
Bye. Thank
I'm
you.
dancing to the imaginary music. Chad, you're fired.